Hello and welcome back to another year-end list. This is not the top 5. This is a completely new list I decided to do just because I had to cut the list down to top and bottom 5. I was like, you know what, screw it, I'll give you a whole nother list. These are my 5 picks for the most unneeded movies of the year 2015. Based on what I got to see in the theater for the year. Like I said, had I seen a lot more of the other stuff that was on the previous list that you saw of things I missed, there might have been some different choices on here, but based on what I got to see, these were the ones that I felt just, they didn't really rank at the bottom because they just really were unnecessary films. So, let's get into it, shall we? Number 5. So the number 5 spot on the list of just completely unnecessary films of this year goes to Minions. So why Minions? Well, because it's an unnecessary film. So you had the first Despicable Me. Cool. People like the Minions characters? Fine, we got 3 little short films about the Minions. We got Despicable Me 2. Another, cute movie. Was it as good as the first one? Not really, but I liked it. Then we get a whole movie about Minions. This just didn't need to be made. Why not give us a Despicable Me 3? Do we really need to see where the Minions came from, how they got hooked up with Gru, all this stuff? No, we don't. Honestly, I still liked the movie. It was still a fun movie, but it just really, it was an unnecessary movie. And that's why it's at number 5 on the list of unnecessary films that I saw in theaters for 2015. Number 4. Now, the number 4 spot on this list goes to a more recent film that I just saw that actually just recently came out towards the end of this year, and that is In the Heart of the Sea. Now, as I said at the end of that review, if you haven't watched it yet, spoilers, go watch it and then come back to this. This film was decent, but at the same time, the story that it's became, Moby Dick, is a lot better story. And honestly, I wish that instead of making this film, they had just made a new Moby Dick film, and they could have thrown in a couple of these extra unknown elements, and it still would have been a much better film, but because of the route they took of it, being the story behind the story that became Moby Dick, it's just an unnecessary film. They could have just made Moby Dick. And because they sacrificed what could have been a good movie to make a I was going to say subpar, but it deserves above that. To make a decent film, you could have made a great film, instead you decided to make a decent film. It's just unnecessary. Just make the film you want to make. You can add more stuff to it. It's called creative license. And that's why In the Heart of the Sea takes the number 4 spot on the list of just unnecessary films of 2015. Number 3. Okay, so the number 3 movie on this list, and surprisingly this list was like the easiest one to put together, even figuring out the order that they were going to go in once I had the 5 I was going to do. This was probably the easiest one, even easier than the bottom list and the top list. And the number 3 spot on this list goes to a movie that actually came out a lot earlier that I just only recently saw. So it's one of the second-run theater films, and that would be Pan. I think I did a good enough job explaining why Pan was unnecessary in that. We've all been told the story of Pan several hundred times. You want to take a new twist on Pan, fine, but you're doing stuff that other people have already done. Like I said, there was a BBC 6-part miniseries of Pan that basically kind of told the story that they were telling in this, but did it a lot better. And this one really doesn't become Pan. Even at the end, it's still not all the elements are locked into place yet to be Peter Pan. So yeah, it's just a story that's been done before and was done poorly compared to what they were trying to do, compared to what others had done with a same "here's the Pan you didn't know" feature. And it just overall was unnecessary. It didn't need to be made. And that's why Pan is the number 3 spot on my list of unneeded films of 2015. Number 2. Okay, so the number 2 spot on this list goes to a film that, again, I gave a positive review to, sort of. A film that I liked, sort of. Does it mean it was unnecessary? No. And that movie would be Jurassic World. Really, did we need a 4th installment in this series? No. We really didn't need anything past the first one. The second one, okay. Third one, now you're just trying to cash in. Fourth one, several years later, it's like, oh, let's reboot the series, but who's going to want to watch that? Okay, well, let's just make it a spiritual successor and call it Jurassic World. Okay, well, now it's just a flat-out 4th in the line. And is trying to recapture what Jurassic Park did, but retell it for a new generation in a different way. And yeah, they throw homage to the original, but overall, just the movie was unnecessary. The ending was piss poor, and yeah, it just didn't need to be made. And that's why Jurassic World is the number 2 spot on my list of unnecessary films of 2015. Number 1. So the number 1 spot on this list, I had a real hard time actually adding this to this list because it's a film I enjoyed, but at the same time, if you watched my review for it, you know that everything I said in there leads right to this being the top of the list as something that we just didn't need, but got made anyway. And that film is Creed. Now, I understand, like I said in the review, they're trying to revitalize the Rocky franchise and be able to keep it going without Sylvester Stallone. But, like I said in that review, there's just no place else to take this. You get maybe 1 more, 2 more movies tops out of the Creed character, and then you're done. And even though I still haven't seen Rocky Balboa, from my understanding of that was a decent ending to Rocky's story. It had him do one last fight, had him end up where he was, and it was a perfect place to leave him. And then here we have Creed that's like, okay, 1 more time into the ring, and it just wasn't needed. I know a lot of people enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the film. And some of you are probably saying, why aren't other things on your list? Like, you know, how can you say that Creed was unneeded over something like Jurassic World or another film that a lot of people crapped on that I guess you could put as an honorable mention on this list, but not really, like Terminator Genesis? It's like, why is that not your number 1? Well, mainly because with Terminator Genesis, you can easily always create new stories for Terminator Genesis. There's only so much you can do with the story of Rocky. With Terminator Genesis, yeah, they're rewriting history on everything, but that's a time travel movie. That's what it does. You're always rewriting history. Secondly, Terminator Genesis left the series better equipped for additional spin-offs and sequels compared to what Creed did. I can come up with another 5 movies off Terminator Genesis. Creed, like I said, I can only come up with 2 more. And that's stretching 1 movie into possibly being 2, which Hollywood likes to do, so you never know. But that's why Creed kind of goes above Terminator Genesis and why Terminator Genesis doesn't appear on this list. Did we need Terminator Genesis? No. But it continues the series and allows us to do more with it in the future. Creed, I just don't see that happening. And same thing with Jurassic World. Yes, it leaves open to more stuff to come from that series that we still don't need, but is better suited to continue where Creed isn't. And that's why Creed takes the number 1 spot on my list of just unnecessary films of 2015. So there you have it. That's my 5 movies that I just deemed were unneeded, but at the same time, I still watched them. I still enjoyed them. It's not to say they were bad films, just did we really need them? No. You may not agree with this list. You may have your own opinion, but that's what the comment section is for. This is just my opinion, and tell me if you agree with me or if you disagree. Maybe you have something else that I didn't see, and you're like, hey, this was a movie that probably could have made the list a lot better. But again, remember, this is just based on what I've seen. So if it wasn't here, that might be why. But yeah, leave your comments. Let me know why. Also, remember to like the video or rate the video, whichever way you want to go. Subscribe. I already said to comment. Comment, like, rate, subscribe, and share the video, because it's only relevant for this year. So, yeah, share it anyway. Also, that lets me know what videos you guys like and what you want to see more of. And that is it for this episode. Again, as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode, which will be the top 5 list. So we'll see you then.